Dear friends, today we will try and talk about not the problems, but the solution to those problems that we've been talking about for so long, for at least 3 years. Some people have been talking about these problems for even longer, those who have realized that we've been lied to by those who we used to trust. But today we have Michael Tellinger from South Africa. We have Emil Borg from Sweden. And we have my friend and colleague, Dexter Ryneveldt from South Africa, to discuss how we can get away from under the thumb of the system and have much better lives than we do under the system. So thank you very much for making the time. It's an honor and it's a pleasure, of course, Michael, to have you. And same with you, Emil. It's always fun to talk to you. So what do you do in South Africa? You have been working on these solutions for not just for the last 3 years, but for much longer, right?
Yes, I have, Reiner. Thank you very much. It's great to meet you and very excited to have this conversation with you. Thanks for Emil to setting us up, and great to meet you, Dexter, out here in South Africa as well. Yes, look, the One Small Town initiative has been around for a long time. Initially, I started talking about this idea in 2005 already, and slowly but surely it evolved. We've walked the talk, we've paid the price, it's taken blood, sweat, and tears. Everything I've had, everything I have, every cent I've ever earned has been poured into this. So it's been my lifelong passion, the last 2 decades at least. And here we are, something that started as a crazy idea that everybody laughed at me. They wanted to beat me up for even suggesting these kind of crazy ideas. It was really a thing about people. It needed to evolve and also grow into a time when the level of consciousness was a little bit higher around the world. And I think this, especially the whole COVID pandemic and the lockdown, that people felt the attacks, they felt the abuse of governments, they realized how abusive governments can be and how they can completely and utterly overstep their boundaries. That helped a lot of people wake up. And it really, during the lockdown is when the One Small Town movement really exploded. So just a little bit more background. So the One Small Town movement grew out of what I started calling contributionism and the Ubuntu movement out in 2007, 2006, 2007. So it all started with the Ubuntu movement, with the idea called contributionism, a system in which people contribute their skills and talents towards the benefit of their community so that everybody benefits from everybody's skills and talents. And it slowly but surely evolved, got better and stronger over time. We also had a period that we went through politics. We got involved in politics in South Africa. I registered the Ubuntu Party in 2010. We participated in 3 elections, 2012, 2014, and 2016. So in essence, I ran for president in 2014 during the national elections as the leader of the Ubuntu Party. And I must tell you, that's when I truly discovered how crooked the political arena is, and how the entire outcome of the elections is prepared. It is laid out for us. It is not elected. It is selected, and that taught me really to use the One Small Town philosophy. We then participated in the 2016 elections in South Africa again, but just in the municipal elections under the One Small Town banner. That's by then we already transitioned from trying to promote the philosophy of Ubuntu because it was a bit vague, and it turned into the One Small Town philosophy, where you take small towns and you turn them around by waking people up and showing them that if they cooperate and collaborate, they can achieve so much more. In fact, any small town of several thousand people has infinite potential to create abundance for themselves. The only thing that people have to do is change the way they think and start to, instead of competing against each other, start to cooperate and collaborate on every level, starting with growing food, starting as many businesses as they can, and creating the ownership of the businesses in our small towns. The ownership needs to come back to the people, away from the large corporations, away from the multinational retailers, away from the multinationals that control everything. And that's where I realized in 2016 that this is most likely not going to happen on the political arena. And then we exited the political arena in 2016, and One Small Town became a non-political, non-profit community development program. And since then, it's just exploded. Just to add a little bit more before I stop yapping, the Ubuntu Party actually, with the philosophy of unity within community and people cooperating, and the whole philosophy of contributionism, which I must say really appealed to people and still appeals to people around the world in larger and larger numbers, because it's such a simple, beautiful philosophy of people contributing towards their own prosperity. The philosophy of contributionism turned into the Ubuntu Party in a number of countries. So we had the Ubuntu Party in Canada, in the UK, in Australia, and we almost launched in the USA. That didn't happen. The Canadian Ubuntu Party fell apart because of inner conflict. And then after the 2016 elections, it became very clear that going into politics is not a solution, that you cannot inject a seed of consciousness into the political beast and think that the political beast is going to change. But the important thing here is that we walk the talk. I walk the talk, and therefore I have the experience to talk about all these things where most other people do not have these experiences. We also engaged with intentional communities around the world, whether it's Esselen or Damanhur and many other communities that are met of the founders of such communities around the world, only to realize that all of these communities are a huge disaster and a huge failure on every possible level. And that's where it just gave more and more strength and credence to the One Small Town initiative, which is completely and utterly different from any other community upliftment project or an initiative. And this is why it is suddenly growing around the world at such a rapid rate. And that's my little introduction, just to familiarize people with who I am and where I come from and what we've done in the last 17 years.
I think it's great that I'm finally meeting someone who really knows what they're talking about, because I've been propagating, and most people on our side of the fence have been propagating the disconnection, the shutting ourselves off of the system, because the system is not only thoroughly infiltrated and utterly corrupt, but it is, and therefore you can't fix it. But it is also not worth fixing because it's based on the wrong virtues. In fact, there are no virtues except materialism, and it's fighting each other. It's competition in the worst sense imaginable. So I can't wait to hear more about this, because we all know that we cannot trust the global corporations, we cannot trust the global NGOs, because they're all run by the same very few, very evil people. And we also know, because I've been into politics as well, for about, I don't know, a year maybe, and then I got out because I was totally frustrated. I realized this is totally corrupt because you're part of the system when you enter politics. So there's no other way than to reimagine ourselves as free, independent, sovereign people who can do whatever they want, and we should do it for our own benefit and not even think about that old rotten system that is now definitely coming apart. This whole house of cards is collapsing.
I think what you said there is absolutely 100%. I resonate with every word you say. It's also important for me to stress that the One Small Town initiative is not a system. We're not fighting the system. Like you said, the system that we're in is broken. It cannot be fixed, and it's not worth fixing, because, as you said, it's built on the rotten foundation of greed, control, competition, that destructive competition. So within the One Small Town initiative, we still have competition, but it's competition within a community, within a cooperative spirit, and that's a completely different thing. As long as you have competition within a cooperative spirit, then you achieve things, and the achievements that you create actually benefit the community and not become a detriment to the community. Because now, so I'll go into more detail there. So I just want to stress to everybody watching this that the One Small Town Initiative, we don't, we are building we're creating a new reality. We're creating a new paradigm, a new system that will slowly but surely make the current system obsolete. So there's no violence, no opposition, no conflict. We don't have to fight anyone or anything or any government. We just build this up in our small towns in larger and larger numbers across the world. All the small towns are connected to each other through our centralized blockchain, our centralized exchange mechanisms and sharing and so forth. I'll go into more detail about this. And this is how we slowly but surely take back the power to the people and especially into the small towns, so that the small towns not only become the hubs of innovation, of excitement, of technology, of creation, of happiness, and everything else we've always imagined for our families and our future, but also the small towns suddenly become the most exciting investment opportunities for the conscious investors of the world. Because once the investors with the billionaires and the millionaires realize that the small towns is a safe and ongoing investment opportunity with unlimited potential for growth, watch the stampede. I anticipate that once the first billionaire or millionaire joins us and invests into a number of the cornerstone businesses in a small town, and it starts to show, by doing that, really exposes the opportunity. Watch the stampede of conscious investors around the world move away from the very, very scary and questionable investment opportunities on the stock markets and the normal kind of investment opportunities that are running dry very, very quickly. And when people realize that by investing into a community where you go into a partnership with an entire community, you've literally created for yourself a safe haven for you and your family, the safest town that you can imagine, where everybody works together because the businesses that we start all belong to us. The profits that we make belong to us. They don't go offshore to some shareholders sitting in a boardroom somewhere else. And the technology and innovation that we create is used to help the community and not help a few rich individuals on some board in some foreign country that are selling us electricity and withholding medicines and cures for disease from us. And that goes for the supply of food, obviously. So with the One Small Town Initiative, we have a very small, very simple plan of action, how to initiate it, how to start it small and grow it as quickly as we can. And as people see this excitement and the joy in their fellow town folk, that creates the domino effect that becomes unstoppable.
And one more thing, in that previous discussion I just had with that person nice guy, who believes in this utopian dream of reviving the public television and radio stations, I told him, I think this is utopia, but I wish you the best of luck. For me, however, the reality looks like this. And this is based on another interview I had the day before, which deals with a scientist who is now deeply into spirituality. And it resonates with what some of the people from the Maori, who we speak with in terms of bringing justice to the world, in terms of what they call restoring the peace for the world, it resonates with their spirituality. We already have a divided world. We have two worlds. And I think they cannot be rejoined. It's impossible. Because the other side of the fence, they're either in cahoots, knowingly in cahoots with those who are pulling the strings, or too stupidity out of cowardice because they don't dare use their brains, or too stupid to realize that they're being used for evil purposes. So if they want to join us, if they want to join your One Small Town initiative, fine. Of course we'll welcome them, but we don't really worry about them. I don't. I think we should, on our side of the fence, focus on what's good for us, because we're the ones who are creative. It's not the large corporations. Guess why they're buying up all these small and medium-sized businesses? Because they don't have their own creativity. So let's keep that power for ourselves and make use of it for our own benefit. What is your take? Yeah. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so Reiner, I just say, if you have any questions about One Small Town, please shoot them at me. So because I don't want to just feel like I'm talking away here. So if you have any specific questions about how does this work, how does that work, please feel free to shoot them at me. But I just want to outline a little bit for your viewers that might be new to this. Go to our website, onesmalltown.org, read as much material as you can, watch all the videos. And you'll also realize that some of the videos go back, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Some of the videos are very old, and you'll see how we've evolved, how this thing has grown and matured into what it is today. That's why it is so strong. That's why I can speak with such confidence and passion about how this thing works, how One Small Town has all the solutions that you can think of for all the problems. The solutions are already built into the One Small Town model, not because I'm smart, but because the solutions have evolved over the years from the One Small Town model and just presented themselves. Because if it's not good for everyone, it's no good at all. That's one of our slogans. And one of the other important slogans that's really important for people to try and digest here is that we're not fighting the system. We're not opposing anyone. We are using the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. This is really important. And this is why every other sort of intentional community initiative that has been attempted around the world, even the great Osho out in California, in Oregon, was it?
Oregon.
Which could have been an incredible solution, but the ego got in the way. And it's every other intentional community that has started has been a failure. And we can say that because if it was a success, we'd be using it, we'd be doing it, and we're not. So One Small Town comes and brings together all the lessons we've learned from all the failed experiments and presents a very simple transitional phase for people that are sick and tired, people that resonate with what we are talking about here, people that know there's a better way, there's a better life, that we can live in a utopian world, that utopia is a good word. It's not a bad word. It's been made a bad word by the negative people in the world, right? So yes, we are striving and we're creating a utopian world for ourselves. And this is a step-by-step introduction of how to get from here to there. And it does not have to take a long time. But in the process of going from here to there, we have to realize that the reason why the corporations are so successful and have such a strong stranglehold on all of humanity is because of their systems, their structures, and their control mechanisms. So what we're doing, we're using the same kind of systems and structures and control mechanisms so that we can create success. But these structure systems and control mechanisms are controlled and managed by the people of the community. They are the owners of these systems. It just helps them to navigate the treacherous seas and oceans of corruption and theft and deceit and so forth, so that it provides our blockchain and our online platform, the One Small Town platform and blockchain, provides a secure environment for investors to know if they invest into a brewery or growing food or medicinal plants or whatever else it is that they're investing into our small towns, they can follow their investment. They know exactly how the money is being used, that it's going where it's intended to go, that all the members from our community that are 60% or 90% shareholders in some cases of all the businesses, that they see exactly how much profit we've made in each and every business, and how many dividends are going to be distributed every month to all our members. Everything is completely transparent in every town and every One Small Town initiative and community. And this is why we have to put these structures into place. This, however, has caused a little concern with some of the slightly more spirit, and I use the word with love, some more sort of hippie-minded members, right? They go, wow, you guys are behaving just like the corporates now, like, wow, man, I really don't like the way you're doing this. You're just acting just like the corporates. And the answer is, yes, we are, for your own safety. Because if we don't do this, everyone's going to rip you off, dude. And everyone's going to run away with all your hard work, and you're going to have nothing to show for it. And this is why all the hippie colonies of the past and all the intentional communities of the past have failed, for this very simple reason.
I agree.
Just to add one final thing before I hand over to you is, to do this, we've created what we call the One Small Town platform and blockchain. And that then also, about just more than a year ago, spawned out of the blue the most exciting opportunity that we realized is that because this is a membership. One Small Town is a voluntary membership that people join for free. You don't have to pay an entrance membership fee or nothing. You just join for free, go online, sign up as a member. You instantly become a member, and you open your digital wallet. So what we've created is an infinity token, which is really the token. Excuse my noisy rife machine right here. That's just finished treating my feet. So what we've suddenly had an epiphany is that instead of using, before I go there, I need to say that the only thing that One Small Town members have to do is that when you become a member, you pledge to contribute 3 hours a week towards your businesses, towards your community. 3 hours a week, it's all it takes, right? People that know what I'm talking about will understand. That turns our community into an incredibly powerful labor force. If you have a town of 10,000 people, suddenly you have 30,000 hours of free labor a week, because we contribute our time voluntarily towards our own businesses, towards fixing our town. Now, the difference between our 30,000 hours of labor a week and a large corporation, do you know how much a large corporation would pay for 30,000 hours of labor? It's very simple to do the calculation. That's what they can't afford. And yet we can afford it, and we do it with love and willingly for free. And this is why a small town of 10,000 people, that every member just contributes 3 hours a week, suddenly becomes a fierce competitor to any global multinational corporation immediately and instantly. We can grow anything, build anything, manufacture anything, distribute anything, because we choose to do it together. And we are the owners of these businesses. It's a very powerful position to be in. And to manage all of this, we've had to create the system that is foolproof and cannot be cheated, and etc. So in the process, we had to find a way of how do we know when somebody arrives to do their 3 hours in one of our businesses, or, or cutting the grass in the park, or helping the orphans, or delivering food to the elderly, or whatever it is that we do. We're going to do all kinds of things in our community. And that suddenly presented us with an incredible opportunity. Instead of just using a punch card system, the old punch card system that you clock into your job and clock out, suddenly we use technology with QR code readers, and we created what is known as the Infinity Token, which is a membership asset-backed NFT token, which is created every time one of our members contributes 3 hours towards one of our businesses or community. So suddenly we're now also sitting with the fact that all our members, the moment they contribute their 3 hours a week, over and above the dividends that we distribute to ourselves from the profits of our businesses, and the food and everything that we grow that we distribute to ourselves every month, we also reward ourselves with our own infinity tokens that are growing in value at a rapid rate, because it's the only truly asset-backed NFT community token that's backed by true and real human sweat equity. And the more members we have around the world contributing 3 hours a week towards their businesses, the more the value of the Infinity Token grows. And to finish this little ranting monologue is to utilize these Infinity Tokens. We've created what we call the One Small Town digital wallet that every member instantly gets in your account. When you open your account online, you get your digital wallet, and you start collecting your Infinity Tokens every time you contribute 3 hours towards the One Small Town initiative. And you can send those tokens from your digital wallet instantly for free to any other member around the world. As long as they're a member, you can send it to them via the email, boom, and I send it from me to your digital wallet instantly, outside of any banking system. outside of anybody's prying eyes, and you and I can exchange anything we want by exchanging these tokens. So we've created an alternative currency system, if you want to call it that, an alternative exchange system. It exists, it's real, and everyone everywhere in the world can use it right now.
I'm actually very, very impressed what you have said in the synopsis that you have given, Michael, as to what is the basis for you guys working towards, like you say, a utopia, the One Small Town initiative. One of the things that I just want to find out from you, I know here in South Africa, one of the big things within the communities we are talking about, and you have mentioned cooperative units. So what I want to find out from you, and in particular when it comes to the financial implications, in a sense, I want to find out when we talk about cooperative units, organizations that the small One Small Town initiative is actually driving, is it actually registered with the South African Reserve Bank, or are you actually trying to keep it not connected to any system here in South Africa?
Yeah, no, it is a completely independent system. The One Small Town company is registered as a non-profit company. The way we operate it right now is that every One Small Town initiative is actually registered as a pool under the One Small Town non-profit company. So they operate as a pool. So they're also then seen as a non-profit company. Remember that we're not providing work, we're not creating work, so we don't fall under the labor law, because everybody that contributes their 3 hours a week is a co-owner of the business. So they're just working in their own business. So it's not a job. So we've eliminated all these potential problems with government and labor and any of that. So yeah, this is why it's taken 17 years to get to this point. It didn't happen overnight. Slowly but surely, we found the problems and the solutions were presented to us. And now with the infinity tokens, that has opened up a door not only to reward ourselves with our own infinity tokens and be able to exchange them amongst ourselves, and also sell them and trade them on our One Small Town trading platform, which is about to go live probably about 4 weeks from now. And again, this is a private trading platform. This is not trading on any open cryptocurrency markets or any of that. You have to be a member of One Small Town. In other words, the infinity token cannot be crashed. It cannot devalue. No one can steal your tokens. You can't lose them because it's an NFT. They can be traced, and so it's a very, very different system from any other cryptocurrency or NFT scenario. So we operate in a way that we don't fight the system. If there are taxes to be paid, we'll pay the taxes. If they, so we don't want to create any ripples. We don't want to resist or fight anyone. We use the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. And one of those tools of liberation is finding the smartest tax advisors they are, so that we as a community that very soon could be turning over millions and maybe billions of dollars or rands or euros per town. And please remind me to come back to this, why I can make such an outrageous statement. If we're turning over billions of euros in our little town, we're going to find the best bloody tax advisor, just like Bill Gates and these rich bastards. They pay zero tax because they have very smart people doing their tax for them.
So if I understand you right correctly, when you talk about the infinity token is basically based on each and every individual, a member of the One Small Town initiative, where they give them 3 hours of the time, and there is then an investment, and then from that investment that creates then value, and from that value that can be then exchanged globally. That's basically the foundation of this infinity token.
It is a foundation, and more people are getting excited about it. It's taken a little while for the crypto heads and those kind of people that are so stuck in Bitcoin mind, and it's sickening. But they're starting to realize how faulty and how insane that world is, and how sane and safe our world is. And it's that penny is starting to drop for people to say, wow, hold on, this is a far more safer environment. I invest in this, I contribute in this, and I'm going to talk to you more about our additional investment tokens we're about to launch related to the businesses and the profits of the businesses. So this is an infinite potential for growth on every level you can imagine. And it's a safe environment, completely safe. Blockchain, membership protected, investor protected, members are everyone is protected. No one can ever run away with you. No one can collapse it. No one can collapse your investment. The stock markets can't collapse it. It is bulletproof, right? Mm-hmm. So it's controlled by the people and the members. So it's right now we can determine the value of the Infinity token. That's how we actually launched the Infinity token. We launched it at $1. Based on the value that the launch value was actually $40. And the reason we can say that is because the average 3 hours of labor, if you had to work in the United States or Europe and so the Western countries, we looked at all the different possible scenarios. So for a 3-hour shift, you would earn on average $40 US dollars for a 3-hour shift. So that is in real life, real terms, the true value of the Infinity token. It's $40. Right? And we launched it at $1. So at this stage, it is grossly undervalued. So anyone that buys the Infinity token now is buying it at an incredibly discounted rate because it's going up and up and up towards $40. Whether the people like it or not, that's what the true value of it is. And then it'll just go higher and higher. And the reason it's going to go higher and higher is that because there's an algorithm. We created an algorithm. Our programmers created an algorithm to determine the value of the token. So it's not just me sitting here deciding what the value is. The algorithm is linked to the issuing of the tokens. And basically every time every time a member joins, and every time members contribute their 3 hours, the blockchain picks up on it and it increases the value of the token by a minute little fraction. So if we have a few hundred members working and contributing, it goes up slowly. If we have a few thousand members, it goes up faster. Once we have a dozen thousand or 100,000 members, watch the value of the Infinity token go higher and higher very, very quickly and steadily. And then finally, the other true value of the token, which is really playing games with people's minds, is this one. So imagine you now live in a small town situation where we've created really abundance and utopia for ourselves. We're growing vast amounts of food. We're keeping a portion of the food for ourselves. The rest of the food we sell to export to internationally. We bring the dividends back. We distribute our dividends. We build laptops and fridges and bicycles and nail clippers and bread and milk and cheese and everything you can imagine, because that's what we do. We choose to do it. It's our decision, right? And now the more we grow and build and create, the more we're going to have every week and every month. Where do we put it? We have to put it somewhere, right? So this suddenly gave birth to the One Small Town Superstore, like a Walmart. So suddenly we open a superstore that belongs to the people, the community. But because everything we put in there, we have manufactured, we have grown and made the bread and milk and bicycles and laptops, whatever goes into the One Small Town Superstore is made by us. That means we can sell it for a much cheaper price than Walmart or anybody else. You see the interesting situation that's developing here, right? So even the greedy multinational retailers are going to not be able to compete with our own retail store that makes all our products and food available to everyone that wants to buy. They come in there and they buy in fiat currency. They don't buy it in tokens. They pay dollars or pounds or whatever. And this is where we get fiat currency and cash to still manage and need the needs in a system. So we're not jumping out of the system. We're still using, profits in cash and euros and everything to help distribute to the people so they can still live in this crazy world we find ourselves in. But slowly but surely we'll transition into a whole new world in which that money is no longer needed. But this is how it works. So the benefits to members of One Small Town, there are three benefits. First one, you get tokens. Every time you contribute 3 hours, you get a token in your digital wallet. You can contribute up to 3 hours a day. So in 1 month, you can earn 31 tokens. The maximum you can earn in a month, 31 tokens a month. Or minimum, to get your benefits, 1 token per week, right? So 1 3-hour shift a week. That's a minimum you have to contribute to get the labor, the free labor force that we know we can allocate people towards a number of businesses. So we know we got the labor force to perform certain tasks. And the second benefit we get give to ourselves from the One Small Town is all the profits from all the businesses are pooled collectively and distributed evenly to all the members. So you don't have to work, just because you worked in the bakery and you didn't work in the stables, doesn't mean that you're not going to get benefit from the stables. You get benefit from everything because you've contributed towards your businesses in your community. So you've pooled. This is the One Small Town initiative is not a bartering trade, a one-to-one exchange. It is a one-to-many exchange. I contribute towards the well-being of my community, so does everybody else, and therefore we share in everything that we create, and we distribute it evenly to all of us. That's why it's called contributionism. So I benefit from everybody's input, and they benefit from my input. And that's why it's such a perfect leveling of the playing fields. So even if you're a surgeon and you're doing brain surgery for 3 hours, you're still going to get 1 token. And if I'm cutting the lawn or draining the sewage pipes in the hospital, I get the same token that you get as a surgeon. Because if the sewage pipes aren't cleaned, you ain't doing any surgery, right? So this is the absolute leveling of the playing field. Everybody's treated equally, and their contribution is valued equally. And that's what most people truly appreciate, because now they feel appreciated for who they are and what they do, not diminished because they're doing some measly work. But the third thing that the benefits that we get is at the end of each month, so it's the tokens, the dividends, distribution of the profits, and then the basket of goods. Every month, at the end of the month, you go to the One Small Town Superstore, and all the food that we've created, we keep a portion of everything that we do. Whether it's laptops, we make a limited number of laptops to distribute to our members. The rest is sold. If it's bread or cheese or milk or corn flour or whatever. So you go to the One Small Town Superstore, you put in your membership card, and it prints out a ticket and say, this month you get a bag of this, you get a bicycle, you get nail clippers, you get a helmet or whatever it is that we've created. So you go there and get your basket of goods for free. The only thing you have to sacrifice is 1 infinity token. That's to show that you received your basket of goods. All right. Now, obviously, every month we're going to distribute food. Food is number 1. So you're always going to have food distributed to all our people so they never, ever go hungry. And there'll be building materials. There'll be bricks and cement and God knows what, windows and doors. And, who knows what we're going to be manufacturing. It could be a car. So what is the value of that 1 infinity token that you've had to sacrifice to get your basket of goods? The value of that token is the total value of the basket of goods that you just received. And the people will know this. My God, for 1 token, he got all the stuff that doesn't add to the value of the token on the algorithm, but in the minds of the people know that that's what the value of the token is. So just to understand, we didn't include the value of the basket of goods into the algorithm of the value of the token, because the moment we do that, we breach the Securities and Exchange Act. So suddenly we're dealing in securities and exchange, and we can't do that. So I'm just telling you how complex this has been and how many different things we've had to think about not to break the law and yet give the people as many benefits as they possibly can get and make the infinity token very, very lucrative around the world.
Emil, go ahead. You've been silent.
Sometimes you should talk and sometimes you should just be quiet. And I think this is a time to be quiet, to be perfectly honest. My role in this is to be Michael's disciple in Sweden and trying to, or not trying, we're going to start One Small Town in Sweden, and I'm the ambassador for Sweden So that's my role in this. I'm going to be on the ground and make sure that we get it all the way through and make it happen.
So what I gather from this, Michael, is that that the one small town idea can exist inside the system, but disconnected from it. It has some connections, but it isn't dependent on the system. You're totally self-sufficient, if I understand you correctly, but you're still complying with the rules and regulations of that, I believe, collapsing system, so that through this transition period, you can already build these one small towns. And when the time comes and the system collapses, which it sure will, then you can do your own thing completely without being bound by any rules and regulations outside of the one small town ideas, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it, Reiner. And that's why we call it one small town and not one small settlement, because, you know, if people think that we're going out buying a piece of land and building houses, no. That's a failed system. That doesn't work. Mm-hmm. There are very exclusive potential situations in which it can work, but it's a huge nightmare. Why should we start from scratch? We have hundreds of thousands of small towns and villages around the world. We don't have to build anything from scratch. Towns exist. They have everything, all the infrastructure. They have halls and factories and streets and sewage and electricity and farms and everything we need. All we need to do is change the way the people think and realize that if we just cooperate and collaborate, anything becomes possible. So I want to come back to the potential of the small towns. If you look at any international corporation, the average annual turnover of a company that has 4,000 or more employees is $1 billion or more per annum. Just let that sink in. I'd like your viewers to think about what I'm saying here. So if you have an international company of 4,000 employees that work, 9 to 5, with all the expenses that come with them and the offices and all the crap and the corporate stuff and etc., all the labor costs, 4,000 employees, your average minimum turnover is $1 billion or more. Some of the companies I looked at are doing, 16, $20 billion turnover per annum with 4,000 or 5,000 employees. Can you imagine what we can achieve with 10,000 members in a one small town situation where each one of our members contributes 3 hours a week, and some of them 3 hours a day? Because now they're not just employees at a company wasting time, wasting company resources, taking this home, taking that home. Suddenly we have members of the community that are co-owners of that business, that are shareholders in that business, that depend on the profit of that business, that take that business and approach it very, very differently. So when they go and contribute their 3 hours towards that business, they do it with a very different mindset. Suddenly, as an investor, if I invest into a business in a small town, the investor, by the way, can never own more than 30% of the business. That's a maximum that we allow. So the business plans are set up so that the investors invest the funding capital and they retain 30% of the business. The 60% belongs to the community because the community does the work, the labor, and 10% is retained for the one small town management locally, nationally, and internationally. Because that's how we're going to be able to have funds to keep running the different one small town offices. There is no money coming into those offices other than the success of the businesses created by the small town businesses. So it's the bottom up, not top down. So it's again an example how the people power create the success on every level. So as an investor from outside, my investment, I go into partnership with an entire community. That means every member of that community is my partner and wants my business to succeed as much as they wanted to succeed, or as much as I wanted to succeed, because they have a vested interest in the profits. So this is a game changer on every possible level. The other big thing that we've done, that we're about to do, is to start issuing investor tokens. And this is a way to allow communities themselves to crowdfund their own businesses. So every business plan, so this is how it works. We get together, you launch One Small Town in your community, you become the ambassador, you start signing up members, and every member that you sign up pushes the value of the infinity token a little bit more. You start doing business. You have a creative think tank with your members. What kind of businesses can we start? What kind of businesses can we start with very little money, if any? What kind of businesses can we do business plans for that we need, maybe $10,000, $50,000, $100,000? And what kind of businesses cost us $5 million or $10 million? And what kind of businesses do we think we can start that it cost us, $100 million or more? And start developing these business plans, because we got to think big. How much food can we grow? How much land is available? We have different models to go into partnerships with farmers and landowners and traditional leaders in the Americas and countries where you have traditional leaders that own vast amounts of land. We have very lucrative and exciting partnerships for the landowners, for farmers, even municipalities and governments if they're not using the land. So we start coming up with ideas for the businesses. And then we start writing business plans for those businesses. Those business plans get loaded onto the One Small Town platform. They get connected to a project management system. That's get connected to an accounting system, just so that it's online and all your accountants can use it. This is all free of charge. It's no cost to any of the One Small Town members. And then the project management system is connected to the accounting system, and the accounting system then allocates the investment funds to that specific business on a monthly drawdown based on what the business plan requires. So it is a completely transparent situation that everyone can see what's going on. No one can steal the money, run away with it. And to come back to the investment thing. So Emil, if you want to say anything, just raise your hand and I'll let you chip in. But the key thing here is that every business plan will need the investment amount. So we want to allow our communities, or give the opportunity to the people in our communities, to become shareholders in their own businesses first, and not some outside rich people that always own the businesses in your town. So every business that we start that lands up on the platform, we issue a token. If it's, say, a dairy, we're starting a dairy. So we issue 1 million dairy tokens for the town of Nora. Let's use our example town in Sweden. We decide we're going to start a One Small Town dairy, and we need to raise $2 million to start that business and run for 2 years until we become profitable. We need to raise $2 million. So we issue 1 million Nora dairy tokens at $2 each to raise $2 million. So we're never going to release more or less than 1 million tokens for any business, right? And that the million tokens will then have a value based on how much we need to raise. So we're going to issue 1 million tokens at $2 each to fund the Nora dairy. And then we open that up to all our members in Nora to buy those tokens. So they become shareholders in that business. And that funding is 30% of that business. So I literally am buying a piece of 30% by the number of tokens that I've bought. And those tokens, you're benefiting in two ways. Now you earn a token and you're getting annual dividends, profits from that dairy. So you got two benefits here. You're not just a shareholder, you're also a token holder. And that token might become a lot more valuable than the dividends from that dairy at some point in the future. So you see what we're doing here. We're really using the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation on every possible level. Now, this is just explaining how we are about to fund some of the exciting new businesses. If we can't raise the $2 million for the dairy, then we open it up to the country, and hopefully we'll raise it from the people in the rest of the country. If we can't raise it there, then we open it up to the world. And this way, we try and retain the investment from the people of the community first, then the country, and then the rest of the world. to keep the money local. So it's not just buy local, like a lot of towns and communities are now going buy local, buy local. We're doing a lot more than that. We invest local, manufacture local, grow local, buy local, export local, and bring in the profits into our community to benefit us locally.
Dexter is not just a lawyer, he's an economist too. So he'll ask the questions that concern the economics or the money, the monetary system. I have one question in particular. It is almost certain that the other side, Mr. Global, that world which is about to collapse but is still there, that they're going to try and do everything in their power to stop this from evolving. Infiltrate, invent all kinds of legal or whatever rules. How are you going to protect yourselves against that?
Yeah, that's a very important question. And this is why I made it very clear right up front, is that we don't fight the system. Because the moment we start fighting the system, we're going to lose. Like, people need to understand this. Yeah. You cannot beat the system. The system is rigged to always destroy humanity. So we can't fight them. So we are playing by their rules. We're using their tools. We're using their money. We're using the banks. We're using the legal systems, using everything that they've created to enslave us. But we're using that to now benefit us and help us. That's why I call it, we're using the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. And in every small town, and I actually digressed a little bit earlier when I spoke about what is the potential of the profits being made in a small town. So right now, our objective is that any town of 10,000 people or more should be turning over, through the businesses that they start, should be turning over $1 billion, a minimum of $1 billion per annum. Okay, if you're not doing that, then you're doing something wrong. It's not going to happen overnight, but that's our goal. That's our objective. That's where we're heading. And money talks, bullshit walks. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. And the stronger our communities become financially, the more difficult it is to knock them over or to undermine them. So every one small town community needs to become as financially strong as quickly as possible, because then it's very difficult to infiltrate, to overturn, to undermine, because that financial strength in fiat currency becomes the strength of that community to stand united and protect that wealth that they've created for themselves, while they've got this whole other wealth behind them, this infinite supply of food and technology. And I'm not even going to talk about the other technology, but just to let you know that we have all the technology you can imagine that'll be implemented in these small towns. I'll let your imagination run wild. I'm not even going to mention the technology.
Well, I would think, Michael, that as I am absolutely convinced that all the creative people with all the intuition and all that what makes us human are on our side of the fence, they will be attracted to this. And therefore, there will be competition between the one small town concept and the other side, but they can't win. They're collapsing anyhow. But if this kind of a competition sets in, there's no one there to support their ideas and their systems, because they don't have any ideas. All the people with the ideas are going to be on our side of the fence. Yeah. So it does look very, very promising. I'll have to look into this in much more detail, of course, and I will. But that's exactly what we've been talking about for at least 3 years. You've been dealing with this for much longer, but many people who have only woken up through this wake-up call, which Corona is, as far as I'm concerned, all of them have understood that the system will not survive, and we have to get out from under it, so to speak, and we have to create our own. And this sounds extremely promising. What do you think, Dexter, as an economist?
Absolutely, I completely agree with you, Reiner. One of the words that basically comes to mind is decentralization. Yeah. Based on what you have said, Michael, I want to find out, how are you going to ensure that your initiative is not going to get to a point where everything actually, where everything is centralized, because that's one of the biggest obstacles that humanity is actually faced with, especially when one have regard to a huge big corporate companies. Their main goal, and that's basically for the elite, is to say we have to centralize, because when we centralize, we can then, in a sense, control. So from what you've said, you confirm that power, authority, sovereignty is basically given back to the people. So then the big question is, how are you going to ensure at all times that there is not going to be a point where one will actually have to deal with a centralization issue itself?
A very important question, Dexter, and this is why it's taken so long to develop the system and learn from our experiences and answer questions like this. You know, I have, since 2005, I have done lectures in more than 35 countries, probably in more than 500 cities of the world. I've done evening lectures, one-day workshops, weekend workshops, and week-long workshops on the One Small Town initiative. So you can imagine how many questions I've faced over the years. And I can tell you, there has never, ever, ever been a time that within the group of people participating in the One Small Town workshop, that we did not solve a problem that was brought up by the people in that meeting, in that workshop. So this is the most exciting thing that I can share with you, right? So think about this. Decentralization is really this is the foundation of One Small Town, where every community is its own, you're your own, master. But we've created the platform and the blockchain through which all these communities are interconnected. That if that community in Cape Town suddenly they realize that we haven't grown enough apples for next season, then that's the system is used to put up there. We're going to be short 200,000 apples. And some other One Small Town up in Grabo or wherever is going to say, hey, we've graded too many apples, and they put it up there. So it becomes an exchange mechanism between the small towns. And that exchange mechanism becomes free, because this is part of the ethos of the One Small Town initiative. Not only that, one of the most exciting and attractive attributes of this, or benefits, is that if you're a member of One Small Town in Germany, right, and you decide you want to come visit your cousin in Cape Town or outside of Cape Town somewhere for a few months, you arrive there and you go to the town, and it happens to be a One Small Town. So you arrive at the One Small Town office, you give them your membership card, they scan it, and they know exactly what you have contributed and what value you have presented to your small town in Germany, where your skills and abilities are. If you're a master carpenter, that you are training other, young students to become carpenters, or you're a master cake maker or an engineer, whatever. They know exactly who you are and what you can contribute to their small town outside of Cape Town. And they say, hi, welcome, Michael, welcome to our town. And they log you onto the system as a member of that specific town. And immediately, based on your experience, the blockchain then allocates you to where you are most needed with your special skills, abilities, and talents. And you start that week, you get a message in your phone, say, please, report here for 3 hours. Or you can then tell them, I'd love to teach art, or I'd love to teach this. And then they log you in as a teacher that's going to be teaching this. And for that, you get your tokens. And at the end of the month, you go to the One Small Town superstore, get your food and everything else that you get in your basket. And you get a portion of all the profits, dividends from all the businesses, profits that we've created in our businesses. So you can literally move to another town anywhere in the world, slot into that community, and be able to not just survive, but live very, very well, have everything you need, and be respected and honored within that community from the moment you arrive, because the people know what you're contributing to their community. So it is a completely decentralized system. No one can ever centralize this. It's impossible.
What about the dangers of tracking and tracing with this system?
Well, that's a very important question. And those dangers will always be there. And my answer to questions like this is the same technology that used to track and trace people is available to neutralize the tracking and tracing technology. And we know those kind of people. We have the people that can cure all disease. We have the people that know how to generate electricity. There are many, they're all on our side. They're all participating in larger and larger numbers, but that'll come out of the woodwork as this thing progresses. And that includes telecommunication. It includes, frequencies. It includes broadcasting. It includes everything. The same people that work for these big telecommunication companies are just ordinary people that may have started out in a small town somewhere. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of very smart people that do not like the system. And the moment they have an opportunity to do something good for a small community that they want to be part of, guess what they're going to choose?
Yeah.
Then I want to find out, Michael, when it comes to the value of the infinity token, I've heard you actually say it can actually be pegged to the dollar. And we know it's common knowledge, the dollar, when we talk about the dollar, we talk about the fiat currency. And I think that's one of the major concerns for humanity as well. Is it going to be possible at some point that your infinity token can actually be pegged to any mineral commodity like gold, silver, diamonds, etc.?
Yes, it is. The only reason we pegged it to the dollar is just to give people the perception of the value. The token is infinitely powerful because somebody just worked for 3 hours. So, how much value is somebody's 3 hours work? And imagine 1 million people around the world working 3 hours a week. Imagine 20 million or 100 million people working 3 hours a week. By the time we get to that level, the value of the token becomes irrelevant, really, quite frankly. You see, so what we're doing is we transitioning from this system, in the current system, into a new system. And with that transitioning, we using the current pegging systems and the ratios and rationale that people can relate to. But as it grows and gets bigger and bigger, people pay less and less attention to the value of the token because they'll be exchanging the token between themselves. Out of sight, out of mind. No one can interfere with how many tokens I send you. It's free, it's instant. I send it from my wallet to your wallet. You can give me your house. You can sell me your house. I'll send you 1,000 tokens and you transfer the house to my name. So people be doing all kinds of trades. But for me, the most important part is for the people at the lowest level, the people that have nothing. And South Africa, this is a very important part for South Africa. So my heart is always looks at how do we handle third world situations or impoverished countries where people have nothing. They don't have jobs. Most of our towns have 60, 70, 80% unemployment. The people in Europe can't imagine that kind of situation. No. So it's a very different situation. So we start looking at community kitchens, something as simple as finding a hall where a church has already got a kitchen. The church becomes a member of the One Small Town community. Now when they cook food for the people, they're actually getting an infinity token. They're a member of One Small Town. When we start making dividends from our businesses, each one of those church members starts to receive dividends and infinity tokens and everything else. So it brings the community together. The food community kitchen becomes the heart of the community, where those that have nothing, they wake up in the morning with nothing. They at least now have somewhere to go. They can join and go and clean the streets or help in this business or that business. And at the end of a 3-hour shift, they get their token and they go to the community kitchen and get a nice plate of food. So that's a life changer for people in those kind of situations. First world countries don't understand that. We understand that very, very clearly here and in Brazil and India and other countries like that. So I'm very, very passionate about those kind of things, that foundational, beautiful structure that really helps the people on the ground in the One Small Town initiative.
Can you mention just a few examples here in South Africa who's got the small town initiatives, Michael?
Yes. So we started out in Kuruman and we got very excited in Kuruman because we had the mayor there that really liked the idea and we all believed that it was going to work because the mayor and the council is going to help promote it to the people and so forth. Well, unfortunately, and I don't want to speak ill of the mayor or anyone there, because there's some wonderful people there, and they truly, their heart was in it. Unfortunately, the political system prevented it from happening. Meeting after meeting, council meeting after council meeting, resolution after resolution, and 6 months later, nothing is happening. And that was our baptism by fire, to learn that we cannot work with councils, we cannot work with politicians, we cannot work with mayors. And it was just a reminder of why I got out of politics, why the Ubuntu movement and the One Small Town initiative got out of politics. This was just a quick reminder. So now we have a number of small towns that are brewing, that are buzzing, but the ambassadors are still learning, and they're trying to figure out how to get this off the ground. And this is brand new. Remember, we're building this from the ground up. This isn't we're creating something that's never been done before. So some ambassadors are really a lot more active, or they see it clearly, or they have more experience. So in Barrydale, Western Cape, that's our newest One Small Town. And I expect that's going to be the town that's really going to rock and roll and show and lead by example. We're doing so many exciting things in Barrydale already. Our ambassador there, Graham Abbott, is just an incredible guy, incredibly talented, a very, very experienced, an entrepreneur, a self-driven guy. And these are the kind of ambassadors that we need. People that are self-driven, that have got diverse experience in all kinds of businesses and activities, how to start things up, how to find solutions for problems that seem insurmountable. These are the kind of people we need as ambassadors, because they're the guys that are going to start, the guys and gals, they're going to start this thing up, right?
I think that's what it takes, really. It is not always the leaders, the so-called leaders of a community you need to talk to, but if it's a real grassroots movement, you have to talk to the people themselves. We just realized that in New Zealand, you have to talk to the hapu, the people themselves. Some of the leaders have sold out to the government, to the corporate government. So that's why you need to get the hearts and minds of the people themselves. I think that'll make all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely right. We've learned the same, exactly the same here. So, every traditional leader in South Africa that we talk to just loves it. They love it. They want it. They're offering us land. So in terms of land, especially in the areas that there's loads of land available among the traditional leaders, we have a lot of land that we can go grow things. So, just to give you an example, in Lebanon, by the way, Lebanon is by far the biggest success we have with One Small Town. Our ambassador there, Fayez Mukarim, in the last 9 months has performed miracles. It's truly spectacular what has happened there. They've started their One Small Town art gallery. They've got lands that they've started to plant all kinds of medicinal plants, including oregano, to extract oregano oil for medicinal purposes. It's a very high profit yielding business. They've got lots of land allocated to them, going into partnership with farmers to grow all kinds of other medicinal plants, medicinal honey, beekeeping, all the products also made from beekeeping, all health products and shampoos and soaps, etc. Excuse me. They've got primary water in a very, very deep well. That water that is absolutely beautiful and healthy. That's been tested, that they're about to start bottling as primary healing water for bottling and export as the One Small Town product from Ras El Khaimah in Lebanon. Like Fiji water you can buy everywhere in the world. Well, very soon you'll be able to buy Ras El Khaimah primary water. They've started the art gallery, and I'd love to talk to you about the art gallery, which we're changing the rules of selling art around the world completely, which is one of my pet projects because I'm an artist at heart as well. And the other big thing that we're launching in Lebanon, in Ras El Khaimah, is our first health and wellness center, a 5-story building with some of the latest alternative healing modalities, where 40 of the top doctors in Lebanon have volunteered 30% of their time to come and help and work in this health and wellness center, and only take a small portion, only take a 30% cut of what they do for that health and wellness center. This is unheard of. So we're opening the hearts and minds of medical professionals who, many of whom are just, money driven and success driven. We are now finding those healers and health industry professionals that want to do good, that want to help people, that want to heal people. And this is going to be our first beautiful example of a health and wellness center. We're about to launch the health token. I think we're going to be launching 1 million tokens for $5 because we need to raise $5 million. And again, we start locally and then go outwards and raise that $5 million for 30% of that investment. And the business plan for that is mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It's incredibly detailed. And the most exciting part of it is that it actually shows a profit of around $7 to $8 million just in the first year after launching. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. So now that business plan has become a model for a health and wellness center for every other country, every other small town, with slight, obviously, adaptations for the new specific environment. But now we have it, and this is how it's going to happen. Every time we launch a new business plan for a certain situation, that business plan becomes the property of One Small Town members all over the world. They can take it and use it for their community to launch that business in their community, raise funds on an adapted version of that business plan for their community. It could be a brewery, it could be a cement factory, it could be making cornflakes, it could be whatever you can imagine. Yeah.
So it's the exchange of the best ideas then.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So
what I want to find out from you as well, also, Michael, excuse me, you've been talking about the infinite token, and I'm thinking, do you have an app that
yes, we have it's not an app, it's sort of an app within the One Small Town website, One Small Town platform, the One Small Town platform. It's a secure blockchain platform environment. So it's like an app within that. So, and in fact, I think if I'm right, we're launching the digital wallet. It was either launched today or tomorrow. In the next day or two, we're launching the One Small Town digital wallet, which means that any member anywhere in the world, if you've got infinity tokens in there, you can send them free of charge, out of sight, out of mind of any bank or government, to anyone you want in the world, as long as they're a One Small Town member. It's instant and it's for free. Boom. Let me tell you, I've seen this happen. The excitement that you experience and the joy when you see that happen, when somebody sits next to you and says, I'm going to send you an infinity token now, and they say, click, boom, and it appears in your wallet. You go, oh my God, you just realized how powerful that is. You just realized that we have created an alternative trading system, an alternative exchange system. Should the global banks collapse tomorrow, we already have a solution for it. We don't have to build anything. It exists, it's ready. And anyone in the world can use it immediately. And it's free.
So you're using, as you're saying, the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. You're using all of the available technology, but instead of what they're using it to control us. You're using it to liberate us. That's the ultimate goal of this. You're simply making everything has two sides, as we all know. You can use energy for good and for bad purposes. So what you're doing is you're using all of the technology that they're using for bad purposes for good purposes. It's a very simple approach, but it makes a lot of sense. And if you can,
that's exactly what it is. And Reiner, what I need to add, it's very important that you brought us back to that thought, is because I've noticed that some of our members and even sometimes people that want to become ambassadors, and historically some of our ambassadors that weren't quite ready to take on the role, maybe because we also don't know how to interview ambassadors. How do you know whether it's going to be a good ambassador or a bad ambassador? We don't know. We take a chance with everyone we bring on board. We're building this from the ground up. So I've also noticed that many of our members, well, not many, some of our members that are still a little hippie-minded, a little freedom bunny-minded, and, you know, I love spirituality. I'm the most spiritual bunny in the world if I want to be. But at the same time, I realize that that's not going to put bread on the table. I need to go and plant the food to make, create the food. So we've had to implement this very strict control mechanism, the way that corporations control their systems, so no one can steal from them. We've had to set this in motion and set this up for our members to use so that they can't get ripped off. No one can run off with their ideas or their money or their businesses. And sometimes some of our slightly, airy-fairy members don't quite get it. They think that we now want to become draconian corporations that want to control everything. I said, no, not at all. We're not controlling anything. We're just giving you the platform to use for your own control and protection. But if you want to be part of One Small Town, you have to be on the platform. Otherwise, you can't be part of One Small Town. Otherwise, how will the system know whether your members have gone work for 3 hours somewhere in a Siberian village or out there in the Amazon jungle or in the bloody outback in Australia? How will we know if somebody's gone and contributed their 3 hours? So just like you said, we've built this very powerful system, this tool, this monster that is aiding and helping the people to be able to connect and share, and no one can rip them off and no one can steal anything that they've created. So it's there for the benefit of the community, not for my benefit. Believe me, I've sacrificed everything I have to get to this stage. And when I say everything I have, I'm not kidding.
It sounds and looks great. I will, and Dexter too, we will take a very close look so that we will be able to connect you with all the right people, because I think that's ultimately what it takes. This idea, if it is going to fly worldwide, needs a lot of supporters from our side of the fence. The other side we don't care about, but from our side of the fence. And they have to be they have to be convinced that it works, and they have to be, I'm sure it works, but they also have to be convinced that it's safe from infiltration and control.
Yeah, it's very important. Thank you for saying that, Reiner. And it's people like you, and your influence is vast globally, obviously, especially during this COVID era. You've become a global celebrity on the social media. So I'm very grateful that you took this interview or this conversation with us and with me and with Emil. Thank you, Dexter, for participating here. It's been an absolute joy. I didn't even realize that you were going to join us from South Africa, so it makes my heart jump even more with joy. So it's wonderful. And this is working. It's an idea whose time has come. It's taken 17 years to get here, but watch this space. It's growing exponentially. And a year from now, who knows where we're going to be? We might have 100,000 towns signing up to the One Small Town initiative on the platform, because the intention is that it becomes a completely automated process that we don't have to intervene. And that's why we're working very, very hard to make sure that everything works, the platform, the blockchain works, because once people want to sign up, it's got to be smooth. We can't have gremlins in there.
Yes, I can see that. And the one thing that most people, when it comes to setting up your own self-sufficient systems, have been worried the most about is, what do we do about the monetary system? What about the we don't want to be controlled by by CBDC. We want to be absolutely free and not controlled by anyone. Now, the tools you're using can be used for two purposes, as I said before, for a good purpose and for a bad purpose. And from what it sounds like, we'll have to take a much closer look, but from what it sounds like, you're using it for a really good purpose, so that people will not have to be afraid that somebody is watching over their shoulder and trying to see what they're doing 24/7. That's the one big worry that most people have. So we'll have to convince them that there's no risk, no danger of this happening in this system. Otherwise, I applaud you. This is great. This is probably exactly what everyone's been looking for from our side of the fence.
If I can put in a word with that whole fear, when you make everything local, that fear disappears. But what happens if someone wants to take control of you when your local environment is running and functioning? They can't do it. So the solution is simpler and
yeah,
Makes
that's a very
sense.
important point to bring up. Yeah, very important point to bring up. Yeah, Reiner, thank you so much for your interest. Thank you, Dexter. If you want to discuss anything at any stage, if you want to jump on a Zoom call or quiz me on anything, please feel free to do so. We're building this up, and we do need the influence of people like you and all the others that you have in your pool of influence. Let's get this growing. Remember, this is free. No one is forced to join One Small Town. And the beautiful thing is that you don't have to jump off a cliff into uncharted waters and try something new. No, nobody has to leave their job. Nobody has to stop doing what they're doing. All they have to do is become a member and contribute 3 hours a week. That's all it takes.
It sounds so fantastic, but it also feels good. So we'll have a follow-up meeting on this because we're going to have to get some more people on board, some more people who really will be able to help set this up. I know there are a lot of people out there who've been kind of waiting at the sidelines to see if there's something coming up where they can chip in. A lot of very well-intentioned and very smart people. But I think maybe this is it.
Those are the kind of people that I know you have obviously a good reach to, but even more so, I hope that this message also reaches the conscious millionaires and billionaires out there who know that the investment markets are rotten to the core, that are looking for new conscious humanitarian investments with consequence and infinite potential for growth. One Small Town is exactly that. You're investing into communities, entire communities that you're going to help turn upside down and turn into hubs of creative creation, creative new businesses, food production, health and wellness, everything you imagine as a powerful individual with powerful financial support. You can take a small town and completely turn it upside down. From the small towns around the world that are collapsing at an increasingly rapid pace, we can turn that around. And we just need the conscious millionaires and billionaires to realize that One Small Town is that new opportunity that they never imagined would present itself.
Because the stock market is crashing anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Michael. I really love what you have presented. And I think for me, one of the core message is that you are basically, through your initiative, you are putting power back into the hands of the individual, back into the hands of the communities itself. And I think it is going to be a great success, especially when one actually talk from a South African developing country point of view. That when you look at communities, communities are basically the backbone of of any society. So you cannot even start talking about a society if you don't look after the best interest of communities. And as far as what I can see and to what you have presented, I don't have any doubt in my mind that this is something that is going to be successful. This is something that is going to ensure that humanity can continue to thrive for generations to come. So I wish you all the best, and I am definitely going to take up your offer. I will get your contact details. I'll actually visit your website as well, get in touch with you, and I would love to actually have another Zoom meeting with you. Thank you so much, Michael, and success.
Yep.
Thank you, Dexter.
I have nothing to add to that. Now that Dexter has said it, I can only confirm it. Yeah, this sounds like the best idea. This is the way out of this collapsing system. That's it.
Well, I'd like to thank you, gentlemen. Emil, thank you for setting it up. Dexter, thank you for joining us from Cape Town, I believe. And Reiner, it's great. It's a great honor, a pleasure to meet you. I've
vice
followed your
versa.
work, especially throughout this COVID period, this pandemic, and I'm deeply grateful for this meeting. And I want to end on this note: if it's not good for everyone, it's no good at all.
You're right. Thank you very much, Michael. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Talk to you later.